Hello, I'm Nancy Farber, model. I was born February 23rd, 1936.
Jim Farber. I was born in Omaha at St. Joseph Hospital on December 30th, 1933.
Let's talk about your parents.
Okay. Our parents were Lillian Schiff Farber and Harold Farber. And they were married, how many years?
They were married in February of 1933. So
Mother passed away
1995.
1995.
Right. So they were married, that would be 62 years.
62 years.
Did your mother, were they both born here in Omaha?
No, mother was born in Chicago, and our father was born in Russia in a place, a village called Kamenets-Podolsk, which I'm not even sure which country it's in anymore, but it's on the western part of Russia.
How did he happen to come to Omaha?
He followed his father and brother John A. to Omaha. They came here originally about...
And they came in 1913, I think. My dad was born in 1903. He would have been about 10 years old when they came here. And John A. was 10 years older. He was kind of the head of the family, even though his father was with him also.
And I think Dad came with his mother and his sister. Two sisters.
Right.
One who had passed away shortly after they arrived here, I think. She married.
Right. She married a fellow named Morgenstern. Her name was Anna Farber. She died in 1919, so she was only here about 6 years if they came together. We're not positive.
And how about your mother's side? How did she end up coming to Omaha from Chicago?
Well, mother was born in Chicago. Her parents were both from the old country. I think her grandfather Schiff, was from Germany, and Jessie, I don't know where she was from.
I think she was from Germany.
She was from Germany too. And they migrated west to a town called Salix, Iowa, which is still there. It's between Omaha and Sioux City, and perhaps nobody's even ever heard of it. But they lived there for a while and really were kind of associated with Sioux City. So that's how they came to be in this part of the country.
I think they met on a blind date.
Yeah, my father's family came also from a different direction, from the east, and they settled here.
Yes. Well, Uncle Jack, didn't he have...
He went to Wyoming.
He went to Wyoming and homesteaded.
Yeah, he was a homesteader in Wyoming, raised cattle and had a ranch and so forth, and then eventually came back to Omaha. But I don't think our father ever was in Wyoming.
What do you know of your grandparents?
Well, our grandfather passed away before we were born.
1924 he died.
Long
My
before
father's
Mother.
father, yeah.
And Grandma Sarah lived here. I remember her. We spent a lot of time with her. I don't remember great things about her because she hardly spoke English.
Yeah, I remember. She died in 1948 when I would have been 13 years old, and Nancy was 11. She lived in the Austin Apartments on just north of 36th and Dodge Street. They're still there, and she had an apartment, and we used to go over there as a family, and the little kids would run around and play. I always remember playing with Kai, who was John A.'s youngest child. There were 5 children in that family, and he was a couple years older than I was, but I remember playing with him at her apartment.
Well, she had one child, Sally.
No, that's
Bess.
That's Bess.
She had, well, that's right.
Sarah had 4
Sarah
children.
had 4 children, but Bess and her daughter Sally lived with her for a time.
Yeah, that's right. Her daughter Bess, who was divorced and raised a daughter by herself, Sally Marcus, and they lived at the Austin Apartments with Sarah. I had forgotten that. It was a small apartment. But Sarah was a very quiet woman. I remember as being kind of severe, but probably just because she was shy and didn't speak a lot of English, but we always got fed nicely.
And she had a twin sister, but the twin sister, when they left the old country, went to South America. And we've never been able to trace her.
We
She
looked
knew-
a little bit.
Yeah, we did, but we didn't know what her married name was. We didn't know anything about her. It would be fun to find her, or
Right.
her descendants by now.
Did you have a lot of cousins living in this area?
As far as Farber cousins were concerned, we had Sally, Marcus, and then John A. had 5 children, and the 2 of us.
Right, his 5 children, from the oldest to the youngest, were Patty Ann, Elaine Westring, Patty Ann Goldner, who ended up in Minneapolis, Elaine Westring, who she and Howard Westring lived here, Gay McGuckin, who lives in Albuquerque, A. John Farber and Kai Farber. The 2 boys lived in Omaha, and they're both deceased. So we had cousins, and we always had holidays together.
We celebrate.
We celebrate.
Every holiday.
Yeah, right.
And we celebrate Christmas and Hanukkah and
Where were these holidays held for the most part?
at our homes, at our
At
parents'
different homes, yeah. A lot of them, we celebrated them at Grandma Farber's, at John A.'s house, and at our homes.
And as
My
we-
parents' home.
Yeah, and as we grew up and got married, we had them in our homes, and we had a Thanksgiving reunion of the Farber family, and there were 79 people last Thanksgiving.
Right,
It was great.
right.
Now, on the other side of the family, your
Mother's
mother's
side.
side of the family, was that a very large family?
The extended family was large. Mother had 2 brothers. One of them both of them settled in Opelousas, Louisiana, George. He married Nellie, and they had 3 boys. And Vernon, who married Jeannie, what was her maiden name? Cone. Jeannie Cone from
Right.
Omaha. They settled in Opelousas, and they had 2 boys. We didn't get to see them as often, but we were close. We were all very close.
Yeah, we would go there, they would come here, but not living here. It was not the same on my mother's side.
She has a huge family in Chicago area, and we used to always spend time in the summer with that family, but that we didn't keep up as well as we should, I think.
Although, a couple of years ago, no, it would be about 5 years ago now, they have a semi or a biannual every 2 years bowling tournament in, I think it's the Great Lakes Naval Station. One of them must have been a veteran or something. And so I went, I don't think you went with me.
I didn't. I took Susie 1 year before.
Right, you went the year before, and I went and made contact with a lot of our mother's relatives, her cousins, and we still stay in contact. We know where they are, and they know who we are. And I just spoke last week to our cousin in Opelousas, Louisiana, because he was a big Louisiana State fan, and the College World Series was here, and he is now sitting Shiva for the Louisiana State baseball team who got beat. But so we stay in contact.
Tell me about your mother.
Lillian, her mother was great. She's very strong with her German background and DNA, and she had 2 wonderful brothers. She was extremely well organized and very bright, good cook, with a great sense of humor. She had beautiful taste. She was very dedicated to the community in every way, the Jewish community, the community at large, and she loved being part of the volunteer world. She would have liked to have had a job, I think. She would have liked to have run a business, but my dad said no.
That's right. That's one of the things I'm sitting here thinking. She was amazing. She was very structured, very dedicated, very tall. She was the tallest 5'2" woman we've ever seen, because she stood up so straight and held her chin out high. And what Nancy says is quite right. I was thinking about this as she was speaking. Mother today would have been a woman who would have run probably a pretty good sized company. of some sort. She was entrepreneurial. She used those skills in her charity work. She was one of the organizers of the Jocelyn Museum gift shop, which turned out to be one of the biggest fundraisers in the early days of Jocelyn. But my father was from the old school, and his wife didn't work. Fortunately, I'm not burdened with that. If Judy wants to work, she can work. But yeah, Mother was unusual.
National Council of Jewish Women president for 4 years, I believe, longer than anybody else. She was part of Brandeis University volunteer group. She worked at Jocelyn, as Jim says. She was very instrumental at Children's Hospital. I think she was an ongoing volunteer and also the chairman of their fundraiser, their largest fundraiser. She was amazing.
She was a lady.
Mhm.
She was a very, very...
She loved to have parties.
Yeah.
She entertained magnificently. They traveled. They had a nice life. They were very cute.
What are some of your fond memories of your mother that she passed along to you, Nancy?
Well, let me see. What can I say? I just think she had a great love of people. She was very inclusive. She certainly passed on her joy of volunteerism to me, and she passed on her love for cooking and her love. Actually, my father liked to cook more than my mother, and she just was a lady, and I remember that, and I hope that she's looking at me and saying, "You followed in my footsteps."
Well, that's true. Nancy Adams followed in her footsteps. She was very stylish, very proper, and she expected things to be right, and the napkins had to be in the right place, and the silverware had to be clean and nice, and that she has passed on to us to the extent that we may be a little more formal in our approach to life than maybe some of the generations that have come along since then. But never anything I regretted. She drilled that into us, and image was always very important to her.
Having said that, Jim, what did you do around the house to help your mom?
Well, I tried to stay out of the way, and actually, she did instill this importance of image and cleanliness and upstandingness and so forth in us. So, what I did to help her, I suppose, was try to A, do what she wanted me to do, and B, live my own life. So we got along fine, although mother had a little bit of a temper, and so did I occasionally. And we, I think when you're young, you are trying to, form your own image, and when you're a parent, you're trying to encourage that, but also making sure that you're encouraging in a way that your kids are doing what they want you to do. And I hope I eventually made my mother proud, but
You always did, unless you threw away your raincoat or your overcoat,
Yeah.
and she'd always go out and buy you a new one, and you'd
Right.
never wear it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That was her zest for doing everything well, and you should look well, and
Right.
whatever. She was a riot in that respect. She was funny.
What are some of your memories of your dad?
Well, he was a different story. He was a very gentle man. His brother was a strong, hard-driving individual, and they were in business together. And my memory of my father was that he was always very competent at what he did. His brother lived for the business and lived for the growth and the entrepreneurial and the deal making and so forth. And my father was always very thorough and careful with what he did, and enjoyed his social life that he and my mother built for themselves. And he was just a very gentle, non-confrontational man who was a success in life and he was a success in his different businesses.
He loved to play golf with his buddies. He loved to play gin with his buddies. And his buddies were Lou Somberg and Ernie Nog and Alf Mayer and Lester Simon, and they were wonderful, wonderful group of people.
Right.
He
And he was also instrumental in this with the Schimmels, with Eddie Schimmel, particularly in the Omaha Amateur Chefs, which was an organization of businessmen in the, I'm going to say in the 50s. It was probably after the war. And they were a group of very successful businessmen, and Eddie Schimmel, who owned and ran the Blackstone Hotel, kind of set that deal up, and they had some very creative and innovative dinner parties, all men, and lasted for quite a number of years. And the men did the cooking and did the menus, and we probably still have some of those menus that we will definitely share with and have shared with our families.
And he was president of Temple.
Yes, he was.
He brought the FHA here, didn't he? Am I saying it right?
Right.
And he did a lot of civic things.
Yeah. They were in the insurance business, and then after the war, they got into the real estate business by way of investing the assets of the insurance company. It was a Service Life Insurance Company, and it was at 1904 Farnham, and all the Farber men worked there except myself. And my dad, after the war, became a vehicle for investing the company's funds in real estate. They had a lot of residential real estate projects in Omaha, central Omaha, near North Omaha, and in Bellevue. And that was really the essence of his business life the last 30 years that he worked, and he was very successful. He had a long life. He joined the Kiwanis Club. At the time, most people retire at age 65. My dad joined the Kiwanis Club, and he was there for about 10 years, and it was Rotary, and he enjoyed that, and he was just a great guy, and he passed away in 2003. 2002. He was just going to be 99 years of age.
When we were kids, he loved to cook. He loved to cook all the time. And on Sundays, those were our cooking days. And he and I, and Jimmy too, when he felt like it, would go down to the old market downtown before there was an old market. And we would buy all the ingredients for pasta and for anything we felt like doing, and we would cook. We had a victory garden, just like everybody else. And we would cook all day. We'd put up pickles. We'd make tomato sauce. I remember it was a wonderful life. They provided the perfect life, I think, for us growing up.
We never wanted for anything, and as
And it was
Nancy
fun.
mentions, when I was 6 years old in 1939, we had been living at 2022 North 54th Street in Country Club, which was a very nice neighborhood in those days, still is. And we moved to 8120 Pacific. And 8120 Pacific was outside the city limits. My parents were among the first people that lived in West Omaha. And the Pacific Street was just a little two-lane tar street. And the street in front of our home was a gravel street. And I can remember on more than one occasion coming home at night in the car, and you'd have to shoo a couple of cows out of the way because they were in the field across the street. And that's where we had the Victory Garden, and that's where we raised a lot of vegetables and stuff like that. And it was a beautiful home. And Loveland School, which was built in 1935 or 36, was the school that Nancy and I started in. I think you went there for 1 year.
Harrison.
Well, I went to Harrison in kindergarten, but then in first grade and so forth, I went to Loveland School, and as did Nancy. And then when high school came along, I went to Underwood high school for 2 years and then moved down to Central. Nancy
I went to Dundee in the 8th grade.
went to Dundee in the 8th grade and then
I
went to Central.
When we went to Underwood School, which is now, well, there's a fitness
It's
center.
24-hour fitness
Yeah.
on
On Underwood Street, or Cass. When we went to that school, we were the only 2 Jewish kids until Gordon
Reuben.
moved in,
Right.
and then there were 4 of us, he and his sister. And that was an experience. That was a little bit of Americana. We understood a lot more about bigotry and farmers, and it was again a very interesting education, and I think we should thank our parents again and again for allowing us to be there and to understand that there are lots of people in the world. It was,
What kind of an education did your mom and dad have?
Little or none. My dad graduated from Central High School. In fact,
Central or Tech?
No, Central. Genevieve Clark was a teacher that I had at Central,
really?
and she was his teacher too. So, she was about 100 years old when she got to me. But he went to Central, and then I think he went to college for a couple of years, but didn't graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother graduated from high school, but that was it, I think. She would have been, they were married in 1933. She was born in 1908. So she was 25 years old
When they were
married.
Well, at least 25.
Well, if they
Yeah.
were married in 30.
But in Chicago, she took some courses.
Well, that could be, I don't know.
But I
don't
think
know.
they were,
Yeah.
I don't know. She would have been a brilliant student.
How did they actually meet?
I don't know.
I think Phil Feldman.
Oh, that might be
fixed them
right.
up.
Yeah, Phil Feldman put him up on
Phil and Valva.
on a blind date.
Mhm.
Because my dad was in Phil Feldman's wedding,
Right.
went to Chicago.
They all went to Mother and Dad's Chicago wedding in Chicago, February 12th. And
33.
there were terrible storms. They all drove and hardly got there. But that's how they met. I'm sure he was in Phil's wedding too.
Yeah, he was. Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I had forgotten that.
Dad was a salesman. Do you remember when he was a salesman and he had we didn't know him, of course,
No.
but he had a little car and he went all over the
He
state
went all
of
over the
Nebraska.
state of Nebraska selling whatever it was.
And he looked really cute. He had knickers on and one of those little cute hats. He loved hats. He wore hats.
After his high school education, what kind of work did he do at that point?
Well, they were, I guess you would say they were like peddlers. They were, he was a salesman. And he just, I suppose, bought a bunch of stuff and
Went around and
and
sold
went
them.
around and sold it, and hopefully for more than he paid for it. And then.
When did
and-
Johnny go
and-
into the
and-
insurance?
Well, then I was gonna say John A. came back from Wyoming and started the insurance company, and then my dad went with him right away. I think he worked with him the whole time.
How did they happen to get into the insurance business?
I have no idea. John A. was an entrepreneur. He was very bright. He, as I say, went to Wyoming and built a ranch business and a cattle business. Apparently sold it and came back and got in the insurance business. He was smart. He was a money guy, and felt that was a good way to develop a good business, which he built over the years and fed a lot of families with it.
Yeah. Well, Ajon followed in his
Yeah,
footsteps.
Ajon ended up
was
running
very
it.
bright.
Ended up running it.
Mhm.
After high school, Nancy, what did you do?
I went to school in a little school called Lindenwood College in St. Charles, Missouri. I went there for a year till I got pinned to a very big non-Jewish boy, and my parents said, "You can't go back there." And I went to Indiana University, which I loved very much. And then I was done with school. I didn't graduate. And I came, I think I went to Chicago at that time and got a job. Met a young man and was married. Was fortunate enough to have Jay. And came back home when Jay was 6 weeks old and was divorced within 2 years. Stayed home, worked worked at Service Life, as a matter of fact, and several other jobs, lived with my parents, and then I got married to Harlan Noddle. And I've been here ever since.
And you, Jim, after high school, which direction did you go in?
I went to college. I had a wonderful 2-year career at the University of Colorado, in which I don't believe I passed anything, including bars, ski slopes, and that sort of thing. It was a wonderful 2 years. As a matter of fact, made some lifelong friends there that I still connect with. So that part was good. Then, after 2 years of financing my vacation, my folks decided it was probably better for me to come home, which I did, and I went to Creighton University, and I graduated from Creighton University in a miracle 2.5-year period, because I didn't have anything to transfer from Colorado. But that was a nice part of my life, made some more wonderful friends, and my folks ended up being very friendly with a priest, a Jesuit priest. Creighton's a Jesuit school, named Father William Kelly, who was the Dean of Men when I went to Creighton. And it was very interesting on the basis that I couldn't even get into, well, it was the University of Omaha at that time. I couldn't get in there because I didn't have any grades. But for some reason or other, my mother took me down to Creighton, and she cornered Father Kelly. And when she got done with him, I got into Creighton. I don't know what she did, but it worked, and they became very, very good friends. Father Kelly was a good golfer. He played with my dad, come over for dinner. He ended up as the president of Marquette University, and then came back to Creighton after Father Reinert died. So we had a long, very nice relationship with him. Then after that, I spent about 18 months in the Army. I was in the reserve, and I got called up, and then I got out of the Army and went into the insurance business. I did not go to work for my family. I did not want to go to work for my family. But I ended up being in the same business. They introduced me to some people that were very helpful to me, and I've been in that business now for, this would be my 51st year. So in 1975, 1973, I met Judy, and in 1975, at the ripe old age of 41, I was married, and we have 2 daughters, Jennifer and Elizabeth, who today are 31 and 28. Neither one is married. They both, Jennifer lives in California, and Elizabeth lives in New York, and both pursuing careers, and Judy, of course, is taking care of me, and we're enjoying life also. And I work. I'm still in the insurance business.
And Nancy, how about your children?
Well, my children are Susie Noddle, and she lives in New York, and Jay Noddle. Jay's married to Kim Platt, and they have 3 children, Rebecca, Sam, and Aaron. And we just have a delicious, delightful family. I don't know, we're all very close. My Noddle family, Harlan's brothers, Alan, who lives here, and Jeffrey, who lives in Minneapolis with his wife Linda, and their 2 daughters. One of them lives in California, and one of them lives in New York. We're just all a wonderfully happy, productive. Well, we're going to conclude this lovely hour, and I was asked if I would like to say something to my family about my family and my love for my family. So when I cry, you know that it's from my heart. And you've all seen me cry and heard me cry, because I cry at the Star Spangled Banner. But each and every one of you, Jay, Kim, Rebecca, Sam, and little Aaron, Susie, Jim, Judy, all of you, and especially your daddy. Just a minute. You know that I've said to all of you that our lives have been so blessed
by each other, and especially by your dad. He taught us all so much. He gave so much of himself to us, to his family, his greater family, and to the city, to his religious world. He was just a good man. We were all lucky to have him. And each one of you in your own way is following in his footsteps. And it's a pleasure to know that my family makes a difference. First of all, to me. And secondly, in the greater world.
Well, this is an unusual experience for us, and we're very grateful to have the opportunity to record this for the future. And of course, at a time when you do this, you think about your blessings, and I certainly have probably more than my share. We don't pick our parents, and we don't pick our relatives. But as Nancy said, we've had the opportunity to be blessed with a wonderful family, an understanding family, a family that doesn't and didn't always agree on things, but always respected everybody's opinion and was taught to care for themselves and care for others. So I'm very thankful that I have the parents I have. I'm very thankful for Nancy. She and I have a very strong relationship, and on a lighter note, I would like to say that I always hope that my daughters will have the relationship that my sister and I have, because I don't think there's anything more important than the bonds that family creates among themselves, and the support that each gives to the other. To my wife, Judy, we have a very happy marriage. At least I have a very happy marriage. And I thank my lucky stars for Judy also. We're very different. And she's brought something into our lives, my life, and our children's lives that have really rounded us out and given me a much broader sense of the important things in life, and I certainly will always thank her for that. On the subject of our daughters, Jennifer, in California, as we tape this, not knowing where she's going to be later on or when this is seen in the future. Jenny, you're a go-getter, a very strong-minded individual, and not afraid to try anything. And my wish for the future is that will continue, and that your love of people and your infectious personality and so forth will continue to carry on for you as you grow and mature. Elizabeth, Betsy is at this taping still pursuing a career in the entertainment business. She's doing a wonderful job at it and fighting hard for every day's existence by doing whatever job comes along that enables her to continue in her search for what's important to her. And she's done a wonderful job, great personality also. And my hope is that continues, and that her happiness is solidified and strengthened as we all go along. My brother, and that's the only way I can characterize him, Harlan, Nancy's husband, really was important, has been, still is an important part of my life. As Nancy mentioned, we are all thankful to have had him for as long as we did. Wish it could have been longer, but he was a great influence and a great support. And I feel the same way about Nancy and about her family and her kids, Jay and Susie and the grandchildren. And I just hope that the future is bright for all of us.